what is it that makes Nyandungu Eco-Park so special? What do you think the sort of the winning recipe was that caught the judges' eyes to give you these star awards?
Well, Nyandungu, the primary role of Nyandungu was to control flood. When you look at the issues that were around and vehicles getting stuck because of the flooding, at the same time, a solution to climate resilience by improving water retentions and water quality, and why not carbon storage and the heat mitigations, but also biodiversity recovery. Before, it was just sand mining, farming, and so on. But later on, the wetland was restored, created jobs, and became an urban green space with clean air, recreational space, and education opportunities. Well, after receiving the awards, the story went to different people, reached far to different people, and it became a surprise. And people started realizing that apart from Nyandungu being a flood control wetland, it is also recognized as a wetland that has done a tremendous job in terms of restoring the first urban wetland. And I would say that everyone coming here would immediately say, congratulations, keep up the great work and do more. And, it's just positive. And, Nyandungu is benefiting more, from the time we got these awards. And it has given us a courage to sustainably conserve this, our first urban wetland. Now, at the moment, we had more than 76,000 people visiting a year. But this time, as we speak now, we have already reached more than 8,000 people. So we believe that by the end of the year, will be beyond 90,000 people visiting the wetland. So you understand the wetland has gotten popularity and also helping people, in terms of, urban well-being and even creating jobs and so on. So that's where Nyandungu is at the moment. And thanks for asking.
That sounds really fantastic outcomes of winning the award, but I'm sure it's also down to a lot of hard work on your and your team's part in terms of getting the word spread out as well, and also having um the the sort of belief yourselves about why this urban wetland is so important. So that can only come from sort of you and the team that works and advertises and makes it a special place to come. Um, again, congratulations on that. Great news. And yeah, let's hope that those numbers keep going. And what about, and you sort of touched on a little bit about, giving you the courage to sort of know that you're on the right tracks. Do you have any specific plans of what you want to do in the future?
Well, Nyandungu is progressing and we have a project in the pipeline, and there's a plan first, primarily to restore more areas that are not planted. I would say we are planning to restore the additional 43 hectares of the wetland recently added. That's a priority. And at the same time, removing exotic and invasive species. All non-native species are supposed to be removed as part of our KPIs. And again, also helping the people to enjoy by adding more offerings, products and services. We are planning to add 5 more kilometers of biking and walking paths in the park. And we also want to add some other infrastructures. For example, helping people starting from schools and other visitors to learn about the park by building an educational center. This
Oh, wow,
educational
great.
center will be more of informational center so that people can learn more about the wetland and restore the wetland and the resources that are there. We're also planning to build bird heights. These ponds, recreational ponds, that were created through water filtration that are hosting more bird species. We want to build some bird heights so people can stay longer and learn about the bird behavior and be able to identify different bird species and so on. For information, before the restoration of the wetland, we hardly had less than 80 species of birds. But at the moment, we are counting more than 226 species of birds that came to Nyandungu after restoration with this process of planting indigenous species that attract more bird species. And this is natural. This is not human made. It's just natural, right? Yes. At the same time, we want to also look at the investment, especially recreational activities, kids park, because at the end of the day, kids need to find a place to enjoy, and also allowing people to a glamping service where people who don't want to stay in an urban environment want to camp somewhere in the middle of the wetland where we have a dense forest in the wetland, can stay there, enjoy the wetland, ride a bicycle, a scooter, do bird watching, and then do the activities within the city. So these are the plans, but all will be developed without compromising the ecological function of the wetland.
Wow, that's very exciting. Lots of exciting developments that you're hoping for. It's really, really very impressive indeed.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right. Nyandungu, like any other protected area, aiming at environmental, social, and financial sustainability. So that's why part of our agenda is to work with the local community, the community adjacent to the wetland. These are the people who have been utilizing the wetland for different reasons, earning their livelihoods. So turning the wetland into a restored, protected wetland, they should keep benefiting from the wetland indirectly. What I mean is that part of our jobs is also create community enterprises where we work with them to identify key enterprises that can generate income, but at the same time create that win-win situations. They are part of the conservation agenda of the wetland. We have, for example, thought about the beekeeping as one of the revenue generating projects for the people around, because as you plant more trees, you have bees, and then you also have honey. Handicrafts is also one of the proposed revenue generating activity where the cooperative around the wetland can benefit and will help them to sell the handicrafts. At the same time, we have an educational outreach program. And thanks again, through Wetland Link International, benefited the small grant to support the community through education. Catch them young. That's the project where we want to support the young generation who will be the future conservationist. That's the agenda of the wetland. So we want really to protect Nyandungu. We want to conserve Nyandungu in a comprehensive way by including everyone, by educating everyone, so that Nyandungu is not the work for the government. Nyandungu protection is not the work for the park management, but the entire generation and the teams and the communities and everyone around and even visitors. That's our program actually.